There we go. All right, so we are live here as well. So everyone, welcome. It's great to see everyone, whether you're here on the Zoom call or if you're watching on YouTube. And by the way, if you're on YouTube and you want to join the call with us on Zoom, you can do that. So some people like to kind of stay off video, and that's fine as well. But welcome. We have a workshop coming up next week. So one of the things that we all struggle with these days is recording. As videos become more dominant, not only with our meetings, Zoom, all the lives we do on social media, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, um, but recording has become big. And one of the biggest questions is, how do you get good sounding audio? Okay, I mean, the phones have made this everything so easy these days. I remember years ago, before there was iPhones and camera phones and stuff, uh, video phones, that the recording process was such a long, more drawn out thing. But you'll realize that there are limitations to using the phone, and we're going to help you with that. We want your videos and your audio to sound better. You might notice if you record with the phone or even certain mics that you'll start hearing a lot of room noise. Um, a lot of kind of maybe a little echoey at times and not as clear. And so we're going to give you some tips, not only today, but really focus next week, which is on our um, music recording workshop that is going next week. Now, if you are already a platinum member with our ukelikethepros.com, all the workshops that we have are included in a platinum membership. And then if you're not a platinum membership and you want to join, you can join with that for that course, and you'll get access to the course. And we got a special bonus today too. So if you sign up for the course, we have the workshop, that is, you have a special bonus for you that we're going to include with that automatically. So even if you go sign up now, you'll get that right away. You don't have to wait to hear what I tell you what it is. But let me get a vote here. You can raise your hand. You can leave a little thumbs up or something in the comments. How many of you in the last, let's say, um, uh, let's say 1 week for now, have recorded something on your computer or on your phone or something, anything? I'm not even just music. I mean, maybe you recorded your grandkids or your kids or your dog, or uh, I don't know. Maybe some of you record your what you ate for dinner last night. I guess that's more photos, but maybe people do videos of that too. So how many of you have recorded something? Just leave a little thumbs up in it. Okay, so I said that's the last week. And by the way, we have one of our great members here who won a ukulele in one of our challenges, and they are literally opening it up. I can see them on camera. They're just opening it up. They just arrived today. All right, now, how many of you, if you haven't recorded in the last week, and if you have kids, you're probably always recording, or maybe if you, like me, you have a puppy, you're always recording. All right, how many of you in the last month, last 30 days, have recorded something? Maybe for one of our challenges. We had a bunch of challenges. We had a Christmas challenge. We had a Christmas extravaganza. We had a whole bunch of stuff that we record. So in the last month, I've recorded something. Okay. On your phone, video or audio, doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be a video. I use my phone and my computer for audio as well. I don't only do video. Matter of fact, I can say I've recorded something in the last 30 minutes because I was just over there at my studio and I recorded 4 videos today. And the setup that I use and the setup that Pear uses is a little bit more involved than what you need to know with this workshop, because we're going to go over really the basics of understanding getting good sounds and the recording process. I have expensive mics, I have expensive mic pre's, I have expensive DAW, which is a the the interface, the digital interface we use to get the audio into the computer. I have an expensive computer, so I have a different setup than most of you do, and you don't need that setup to get good sounds if you start understanding the basics and fundamentals of sound waves, recording, microphones, phasing, and different things. And we're going to help you with that as well. So I use Pro Tools over there. I use Pro Tools just because I've had Pro Tools forever, and that system is set up for Pro Tools. If that system goes down, meaning the computer goes down, which it might because it's a really old computer, then I'll just switch to Logic and do everything in Logic instead of Pro Tools. Okay. So what I say, 30 days. How many of you, if you haven't recorded in the last 30 days, how many of you recorded something in the last six months? Just something in the last 6 months. Anything at all on the 6 months. Now, okay, good. Let me go over to here too. All right, and by the way, we'll bring our special guest on here in just a second. Okay, good. So a lot of you have started recording because you've been involved in different challenges, whether it's a challenge that we have at ukelikethepros, or I know there's other 30-day challenges that go on, and I don't know, flash mobs that go on. Actually, why don't you put that in the chat? What was the last thing? Why did you record? The last video you recorded, what did you record? First of all, just do a general video, like if it was your kids or your dog, or I don't know, you recorded I don't know, a cool plane flying by or something. Just what was the last thing you recorded on your phone? Non-musical is fine. And then I want to know what the last musical thing was. I would say my phone is filled with music, videos playing, ideas. The phone's a great way to capture ideas as well for your recording. But if you want to start putting quality stuff out on social media that goes a little bit beyond the phone, but there's even good phone techniques involved, then this is why we want to kind of cover this stuff. Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, I see some of your ideas there. All right, and then what was the last thing you recorded musically? Maybe it was something you played on your ukulele, your guitar, singing, something like that. What was the last thing you recorded? Like I said, I just did mine today. I did 4 videos this morning before I got in here today on ukulele. Okay, Christmas challenge, good. Some different challenges coming up. Alan Jackson, ooh, all right. Happy birthday, maybe you sang happy birthday and you can send it to somebody now. How many of you for these recordings just simply use your phone? You just set up your phone when you do it, and that's easy, done, recorded, the video looks good, sounds decent, and you just send it off. How many of you just use your phone? No extra mic, no nothing, just everything that comes stock in your phone. Doesn't matter what phone you have. And then you probably have noticed, and sometimes you probably will listen to your audio and you go, man, it sounded really good. Maybe you were in a place that had some carpet around, it wasn't too echoey, the phone wasn't too far away. And then other times you've probably recorded with your phone. And if you really listen to it, meaning really listen to it in a quiet environment, or even with headphones, maybe you heard a hiss, maybe you heard some reverb, some room noise. Maybe you heard the plane. Maybe you heard the plane flying by, the helicopter, the police car going by, the trash trucks coming by, the gardeners cutting their grass, cutting the trees. It's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, and I appreciate it. By the way, who's new here today? Give me a thumbs up. Who's new here to the Zoom call or here to the YouTube today? First time being here or haven't been here a while, maybe you're not a member. We're here every Friday for this particular meeting, although today we're going to be focused on recording. Not too much playing today. So we're going to change it up a little bit for us. All right, so good. Wasn't loud enough. Great. You recorded something that wasn't loud enough. You have to, and there's ways to fix that, by the way. You can fix that. And you know, Logic is a great thing. It's only available on the Mac, but they got a lot of different plugins, things that you can help the audio really nicely. Okay. Eugene says, when I recorded using the internal electronics with my instruments, the sound is thicker than using a mic. Okay, so that could be, yeah, if you have a, where's my uke? If you have a uke with a plugin, right? And that's actually a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Because we're going to talk more about mic stuff, but that's also a very good idea too, which is a pickup. And that's the way I record. So when I record my videos, if I have a pickup on the uke, like I use this one today, this is our ukelikethepros Kala one. Because I have a pickup, I have a microphone picking up the audio, talking, and instrument, and then I have a direct signal going in. What is the purpose, or what is the benefit of having a direct signal going in? So if I take this, I could take this to an amplifier, or I could take it right into my mic pre or right into my DAW, my digital interface. What is the benefits of it? Why would I do that? Why would I have two separate signals? Okay. Because people ask me all the time here at the store, should I get a pickup? I don't know. I'm worried about hurting the instrument. You do have to drill a hole into the instrument, but there's benefits of it. And I tell them, look, no matter if it's this uke, my black label Koaloha, my custom-made Guitarlele, first thing I do is I get a pickup installed. Why? Because I use a pickup, and so even though, and two, I don't plan on selling my instruments. They're my instruments. I'm going to use them and keep them, but I use them. So if you want a pickup, you're going to use a pickup, then put a pickup in. All right. So a couple of things. Okay, awesome, Eugene. And I actually have an update on that. So anyway, the reason why, and I got to bring our special guest on. They're here too. The reason why I go direct is because it gives me a clean signal, right? You're only hearing the pickup, so you're not getting all the external noise. You're not getting the talking. You're not getting the plane flying by. You're not getting a bunch of stuff. Now, granted, it picks up a little bit. It does pick up a little bit of that stuff. But for the most part, you're getting a clean signal. Two, someone said you can add effects. So yeah, you could add some reverb to only the ukulele. So the ukulele, when you play, gets a little reverb, but not your whole vocal gets some reverb. Okay, so that's a problem with plugins, is if you put a plugin like a reverb on your vocal mic that has a microphone and it's picking up your voice and your instrument, that reverb is going to go on the whole track, right? It's going to go on the vocal, it's going to go on the instrument, and it can get overwhelming. When I isolate and have my instrument alone, which now means what? How many tracks do I have to record? Then I can just put the reverb, the delay. If you want to put a little effects on there, like a little overdrive or anything else, you got that direct signal. So how many tracks am I using when I'm doing this? So someone asked, what would be the cheapest way to put electronics in a non-electric ukulele? So just putting a pickup in. Now all the pickups we use are the LR bags, the Nue, the Misi, pretty high quality pickups, so they're a little bit more expensive. I mean, I know you can buy fairly inexpensive pickups on like Amazon. Most of the cost is putting them in, because you do need to have a little bit of knowledge of how to drill the holes, get the thing under here. I do have these, there are K and K pickups, K and A pickups, which I just ordered some more that you can either go under your saddle here, so you don't actually have to drill, or some of them just actually attach right to the instrument itself. They just attach to the instrument and then that plug goes out. So those are probably the cheapest ways of doing it. You may not be happy with the sound. It's okay sound. It's not perfect sound, but that might help. All right. Good. Keep on firing these things. I love these comments that are coming in here. Let me check in over here. By the way, again, everyone hears us on our YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. If you're not a subscriber already, make sure to subscribe to our channel. here. Appreciate that. And if you want to come over to the Zoom call, you're welcome to come over to this Zoom call. We've opened up this Friday call, which is normally only for members, but we've opened it up for everybody as well. Okay, yeah, Mark over here on YouTube says for recording, maybe a pickup, no outside noise through the mic. That is right. You do pick up a little bit, as I mentioned, but not that much. All right, but our goal here today is just to let you know about the workshop next week. It's going to be next Wednesday. The workshop with our ukelikethepros audio expert, Per Keller, who's here with us, and I'm going to bring him on here in just a second. And then that workshop, by the way, once you get that, if you purchase it, you're going to have lifetime access to that workshop. So if you can't make it live, don't worry, it's all going to be recorded. You'll get access to the all the handouts as well. So check that out. Again, if you're a platinum member, you already got that, so don't worry about that. Okay, now, that's a good question. Theresa said, how many takes did it take? That, a matter of fact, let's answer this. I'm going to bring Per on right after this. The last video you did, if it was a playing video, how many takes did it take you? Now, how many takes did you have to do on your phone or your computer or whatever you wanted to get the final recording? Even when I do videos over there, some of them go really good. First take, no problem. No edits needed, no cuts needed at all. Other ones take a little bit more for whatever reason. So most of the videos I did today did in one take. I think I did a couple false starts, so I started over. All right, and I'm going to bring Per on then right after that. Okay, so good. How many takes did it take last time? All right, so the workshop, yeah, ukelikethepros.com/sign up. We do have a special gift for everybody that signs up. We got a special bonus for you that you'll get when you sign up for that. We'll talk about that here in a second. All right, for now though, let's bring on our guest. Let me see where they are. Okay, good. So I'm seeing some of the chat here is people who have won some of the ukuleles that we've gave out for our last challenge that they're just getting. I mean, we gave away some very nice stuff. You're most welcome. Some of you won Kanalea, Koaloa, Ohana, Enya, Kala. So yeah, we gave away some great stuff. Okay. 2 and 3 takes. All right. Or edit. Some of you are editing stuff now. Okay. Good. All right. So let's bring our special guest on. How many of you feel like you could use some help with recording? And video is a separate thing. That can be a separate thing as far as lighting and all that stuff. It's a lot trickier than you think. You know, the videos you see us produce take a little bit more skill with the lighting and the camera settings than you might think. But doesn't mean that we can't help you with that. But we're going to really focus this workshop on the recording side of the audio, getting the audio stuff. And I need help all the time. You know, we're making tweaks to our setup all the time. Matter of fact, this setup was moved. It was at my old studio, and then we moved it here, and the sound changed. And we're always kind of tweaking it a little bit to help it sound cleaner, help it sound a little bit better. All right. So good. Let's go ahead and bring our guest on today. A lot of you, how many of you have heard the name Per before? How many of you heard the name Per before? Just raise your hand. It's fine. Okay. If you have, oh, it's good to see you, Greg. If you're part of our challenges or the stuff that we give out, our courses and stuff, if you've heard any of my tracks on YouTube, any backing tracks, any, you know, even our books, all our ukelikethepros books, we have links. When you get that book, you can go download the backing tracks for the book. When I did the book with Hal Leonard, the backing tracks you can download, and you know the videos you see, and if I'm playing with the backing track, all our challenges. Matter of fact, we just did the Christmas challenge with O Come Emmanuel. All the backing tracks. That's not me. That's not within my skill set. It is our audio master, which is Per Keller. I'm trying to find him now, but he is the one that has been with, I've known him for a long time. Uh, I would say over 20 years, and we first met when he was the engineer of a video project that I was helping on. This is way before I was ever doing my videos. I started producing videos. That was my first job in the video world. I was producing guitar videos for another company, and then I started doing some videos for them as well, and that's how I first started getting into that. But Per was the audio guy back then, and that's where we met, and we worked a lot together, and then we developed a friendship, and then been with me for everything, with Rock Like the Pros, Uke Like the Pros. I mean, everything that I've done. Matter of fact, right when I get done recording, first thing I do is I send him the files so he can do his magic with them. Okay, so I have a little bit of advantage over some of you because I have my secret weapon, um, but we're going to share some of that knowledge with you. So where are you? Where is he? I'm going to find him now. I'm going to bring him on here. I can't see him. I can't see him. No, I'm trying to find him. All right. I'm trying to find him here. Let me see if he. Okay. Per, wave your hand or something. It's great to see so many of you here too, by the way, because I know not everybody here is local my time, Pacific time. Some of you are Eastern time, some of you are Central time, some of you are UK time, European time, Australian time, all over the place. So thank you all for being here. There he is. Okay. All right, you ready? There he is. Okay. All right, I'm going to make him co-host. Hello. Okay. All right, there you go. Now talk. I still can't hear you. All right. He's coming on. He's coming on. Hello.
Oh, now I can unmute. Hi,
There you go.
everybody.
All right.
How's everybody doing?
Everyone's
Fine.
excited. I'll tell you
I see
that.
some cool instruments. I see some beautiful. I see a couple of pooches. How nice.
All right. Let me go over here real quick. All right. So welcome everybody. This is Per Keller, our my Viking secret weapon, and we had a great conversation last night discussing the workshop that we are going to do next Wednesday. Really, Per is going to do it, but I'll be there too, and to help you understand audio a little bit better, starting from the beginning. We're going to kind of start from the beginning, understand microphones. What's the difference between a condenser microphone or a large diaphragm microphone, a dynamic microphone, uh, some of the problems that we face if we use more than one microphone, placement of the microphone, where it should be when we record. And Per you're in the best hands ever because Per has done it all in the music business. He's got a studio up in LA. He's worked with some of the best artists in the world. He's been a great songwriter, producer, engineer. He's a magician on Pro Tools, Logic. He can make a drum beat. He can play guitar. He can play bass. He can play keyboards. He can do it all. So anyway, Per, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
So yeah, like we said, this is a great place for us for next week because someone already said recording with a pickup. So that's a good thing for us to add into the categories for next week.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that goes into that kind of stuff, where the pros and cons of a pickup versus a microphone and all that stuff.
Yeah, and let's have everybody answer that. If you recorded with a pickup before we tell them, what is the downfalls of recording with a pickup versus a nice microphone? What is the we talked about the advantage of a pickup in your instrument, but what is the disadvantage? So we'll let people figure that out. So Pear, we had a great conversation last night about the workshop. We kind of rearranged some stuff, and we really wanted to make it specific for what everyone here is experiencing, which is mainly playing a ukulele and or a guitar, um, trying to record not only an audio but also video as well, trying to get better sounds, maybe even try to mix a little bit, add some effects, and that's really what we're going to kind of focus on next week, right, Pear?
Yeah, but I wanted to mention this before we get too much into the weeds of recording. It's important not to get overwhelmed by thinking, oh, I'm going to record. Because I come from the era where there was that big old sign that says recording. And a lot of people get nervous when they see that red button come on. It's like, oh, pressure is on. And the recording should be fun. And for me, recording is the most important, more important part about recording is number one, we're trying to record maybe an idea. Another super important aspect of recording is it's a mirror of your own playing. I do it a lot. When I sit and play my instrument, I record into the iPhone just to hear myself back. Because it's one thing sitting and playing and thinking, oh, I'm really good today. You record it, listen back, and you're like, oh, is that way it sounds? And so these days, there's so many plugins, DAWs, and you can get confused by all this stuff. So it's important to not get overwhelmed by the recording process. So say you want to record a song, you can record it onto your phone. That's fine, because it is the idea. It's the song that people want to hear. They don't want to know that you're the best engineer in the world. But on the flip side of that, we do want to know enough about the recording process to get the best out of what we're doing. So, but the last thing is a good recording starts with a good natural sound. If our instrument doesn't sound good, we can have the best microphones in the world. It's still not going to translate. So we got to get our instruments to sound well. And from there, if we get that, then it's easy.
Man, I love what you said, and let's take a poll here. Let's go back. You've said like three really great things. First of all, and I was one of them, and I would say I still suffer from this from time to time, is how many of you get nervous or feel the pressure? Put an emoji or a thumbs up or something, or fire. Put a fire. Use a fire emoji if you can. How many of you get nervous when that you hit that record button on the camera, or whatever it is that you're doing? Okay. I mean that was me. Matter of fact, Pear, you know, you guys, if you guys, I won't let him. If you want to see what Terry Carter was like when his first videos, Pear was there for the first videos. Pear was there when we recorded the very first videos, which were a guitar course that I wrote for this company we were both working for. It was a contemporary acoustic guitar course, and that was the first time I had been sitting in a chair, lights around, two cameras, two camera operators, Pear doing the sound, a director, another, you know, maybe another person or two sitting there. That was the first time I had really experienced starting to record. And so yeah, so I felt the pressure, and I still, for some reason, whatever, sometimes when you still feel the pressure. So I've seen a lot of emoji. Some people saying I don't get recording myself. Okay, so good. All right, so that's very common. I love what you said with there, and what Pear said was recording should be fun, and that comes through with your recording. It will come through with your sound, the overall quality of the recording. It will also come through, if it's a video, how people perceive you. Sometimes how many of you have seen that performer that you can tell they're nervous? You can tell they're sweating. You can tell that they're not that experienced with stuff, whether it's on stage, live, or doing a video. So that's a great point, Pear. I love that. I love that point. Matter of fact, I wrote that down. But recording, remember that recording should be fun. Recording should be fun. How about you, Pear? What was when you first started recording yourself? What was your experience like?
Well, I just wanted to add to what I said before I answer that. And I think it stems from something that is much bigger than just recording. It's our fear of making mistakes, it's our fear of failure. And everything comes upon us when that red button is pressed. But in actuality, mistakes is what teaches us how to get better. If you don't make any mistakes, you're not going to get better. And I think that's where some of that pressure comes on, that we put the pressure on ourselves. And a good example of this is from us who likes the Beatles, is that Paul McCartney is known for leaving small mistakes in his recordings because that's part of the process. It's part of what makes it human. So, sorry, I'll answer your question. My first experiences were, I actually been pretty lucky through my career because I always played behind artists, and that meant in that era that we got to go into a nice studio and record albums. And I felt the pressure because these guys that recorded us were, one of the guys, a producer is Clarence Overman, who produced Roxette. Luckily, he was a really nice guy, but still, to me, it was like, whoa, I'm in this giant studio, but you almost forget about the opportunity that you have for doing that. So I've been lucky to hang around great engineers and kind of seeing what they're doing. And a lot of guys have been really giving. They kind of like show you, see, they ask you like, do you understand this? I said, no, I have no idea. So that's how I learned a lot about that and kind of like got used to being in that, so to speak, pressure cooker.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let me relay on that for a second. And oh, hold on, I lost your audio for a second, pair. Um, just jump in when you're I can't hear you. Um,
Okay.
oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah, sorry, it cut out. You probably weren't done a little bit, so.
I don't know what the last part that you heard.
Um, you were just talking about being lucky, feeling like you were lucky, and feeling the pressure of recording and some stuff. Um,
I
okay.
don't know if you heard the part about being in front of the Roxette's producer.
Yes, I heard all that. Yeah, it
Okay,
just cut
yeah.
out just right at the end there.
Okay, and the other thing about that I also got lucky in is that I grew up playing classical guitar, and we played in my little town. There's some churches, and we had to do solo performances, and that puts a lot of pressure on you because if you miss one note, then the whole thing falls apart. So you kind of learn how to focus yourself and how everybody's going to be nervous for stuff like that, but it's kind of like using your nerves to your advantage to sharpen yourself. But so it doesn't have to do anything with recording, but it does fall into that part of like uh, having all eyes on you.
Right. Yeah. And being in a big studio environment is an awesome experience that not a lot of us get to experience. But like Per was saying, when you're in this real professional studio, a studio that that the best of the best have been there. The Beatles, Eric Clapton, the Philharmonic, all these top artists, and a lot of these big studios would record, Grammy winning records, Michael Jackson, Van Halen, the best bands around. It puts the pressure on, but that pressure sometimes helps you focus, and sometimes you get the best out of yourself that you would never ever think you could do because of that pressure. So, yeah, that's a great point. The other thing you mentioned, Per, was the recordings. They're a mirror of where we're at right now, because a lot of times when we're practicing, because we're loose and we're not thinking about it, we play, and then we hit that recording device, and as Per was saying, you get a little bit nervous. But either way, that's why recording yourself, audio, video, is so important, because it's actually literally a mirror of where you're at right now with your playing, and it gives you ideas of what you need to work on, how you can improve. And so if you're not recording yourself, if you're not doing videos of yourself, That's why I stress so much in our challenges. Just submit something so you can really kind of start getting a gauge of where you're at with everything.
I wanted to point out something too, as far as everything. Can you hear me, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to point out that, I mean, we have everything from the most professional platform out there that is used in every big studios, is called Pro Tools, which can be, it actually can go from pretty cheap. I think they have a free platform up to like uh, astronomical figures to get that into your studio. But I think everybody knows who the Pretenders are, Chrissy Hind. And I saw, it wasn't a documentary, but it was a program about her. And she was talking about how she actually, for one album, didn't want to go into the studio. So what she did, she took her iPhone, sang into the iPhone, sent that to the producer, and they put that in the tracks. So today we have the luxury of not having to go into a big studio, and also the difference between when we're recording at home, there's no clock ticking. We don't see the dollar signs coming by every minute. We got time, but there's also a drawback to that, because we can make the process too drawn out. Because I'm a big believer in the first impression. That's where stuff is good. It's happened to me many times where I'm listening to a track and I hear like something goes by and I pick it up like that. And I say, well, I heard a click. I heard something's wrong. Then I go back 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I don't hear it again. But if I leave it and come back the next day, there it is. So that's the thing about what we're dealing with is art and music. And I think one thing that I've learned through the years is do not overwork things. Because these days we can polish stuff, but you can break it by polishing it too much. So it's like Terry says, get something out there, because it's the excitement, it's the meaning behind it. It's not like it's the best sounding thing. I went to a seminar with one of the best engineers ever, and he said it's better to sound subpar but sound new than having something that's so polished but boring. And people react to that. You're going to react to a song that is poorly recorded, but it's a great song, versus the flip side, a bad song that is super polished. That's just going to turn it off.
Yeah, and that's a great. I mean, you said I'm right. I don't know if you're all taking notes, but I got a bunch of notes here. But the last thing you said about not overworking it, um, and that can mean many things. That can mean too many takes. You've just done too many takes.
Yep.
Um, and you start. What happens is, and let me know if you've experienced this. You feel like you're getting better because I'm playing it better, but you might be too stiff now. The recording might be too stiff because you're not feeling the music. You're just really focusing on making sure all the notes are right. The other way you can do that is you're overworking it in the system, in the mix, trying to tweak stuff, trying to EQ stuff, trying to compress stuff, trying to auto tune stuff, and so there's a couple of ways you can definitely overwork stuff, and that's something that I want you guys to think about. And by the way, someone asked a great question. What do we need for next week's workshop? You don't need anything. So you don't need to have Pro Tools. You don't need to have a expensive Neumann mic. You don't need to have anything. We're gonna be talking about the fundamentals of recording, of sound. We're gonna give you some tips on how to record, even with a phone. Okay, we're gonna help you even if you just have a phone. But if you have a microphone, if you have a couple microphones, we're gonna help you with all that stuff, and we're gonna show you some of the possibilities that you can do once you actually have recorded something. This workshop, this Music Recording 101, this is a basic workshop. We're not going to get heavily into plugins for this workshop. We're not going to get heavily into mixing in this workshop. Those are things going to be for future workshops. But we want you just to start getting clean signals, because that's what Per said too earlier, was that it's getting a good sound going in is so much better than getting a bad sound and then expecting, in my case, Per to fix it, which he's had to do before. I send them some audio, whatever, it gets distorted for whatever reason. It's not as clean. It could be a bad mic, it could be something. And I've asked Pear to fix it. And it's a lot harder to fix a bad audio versus getting a really clean audio going in, whether that's with your proper mic placement, a proper mic, a proper room. Um, and so that saves so much time in the back end when the sound quality is very good when you start recording the process. Pear can fix a lot. He can fix a lot, but it still takes a lot of work to fix audio. If it's distorted, or various other things. Okay, great. I like that. And so the one before I ask Pear another question or I bring him back on, the one thing I do want you guys to think about is that I wonder if when you do multiple takes, let's say you did 20 takes, so someone mentioned that earlier. I did 20 takes for the last challenge. I wonder if you keep all those takes, I wonder if your first take wasn't as bad as you thought because the energy is really good. Even though you might have missed a note, you might have played something, you might have flubbed something, but I wonder if the overall musicality of the performance was better the first time versus the 20th time. Talk to me, Pear, about that.
Yeah, I touched upon that. And as far as having read about some of the biggest singers, well, we can talk about Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. I think he actually gets pissed off if he has to do more than 2 or 3 takes. And that's the way it is when I work with some really good musicians, not just singers, but it's within the first 1 to 3 takes. That's where you capture what is called the magic. After that, people are starting to get the thought process is coming in. And once you start thinking about stuff too much, then go have a pizza, go have a cup of coffee or something, because then you're not your best any longer. It's that inspired moment where you sit down and just play. You just feel like, oh, I'm loving this right now. If you have other thoughts in your head, then maybe come back to it. But it's usually the first 1 to 3 takes where even if I worked with an engineer who was talking about Daryl Hall, and I forget what's the name of the song. Anyway, it's one of their biggest hits. And the producer had said, okay, we're done here. And Hall said, no, I can make this much better. I can make it much better. And producer said, you're done. And that's what ended up on the record, and the rest is history. So that's why it's not everybody has the luxury of a producer, but that's why I was talking about record yourself and use your phone as your producer, because that's your mirror. That'll tell you. But it's the early takes that are the best.
Always.
Even if there are mistakes in them, they still have that energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Pear brings up a lot of great points. And the one I think about is we have to self-produce ourselves. We're all producers because chances are you may not have someone else in the room watching you. And even though sometimes I can get nervous, you can get nervous with that. That person will sometimes produce, hey, you're saying you're doing this wrong, or do this or try this. You're saying this word too many times. So we almost have to be self-producers, and we have to, okay, that was a good take. Now, what's happened with me a lot of times, and let me know if you relate, is I've recorded stuff and then I said, just like Pear said, I can do better. And I'll do another one. Oh, I can do better. And maybe I've done another 2, 3, 4, 5 takes. And then I've gone all the way back to maybe the 3rd take or something. And that one was really special. And whatever I thought I made a mistake, or I thought I hit a bad note, or flubbed a note, or clipped a note or something. And then you go back and listen to it. And yeah, wasn't that bad. Actually, you don't even really notice it. So, be wary of that too. So listen to your takes, don't feel like you have to do 300 takes to get something done.
So
right.
Terry, can I just add something?
Yeah.
I saw a comment about it, and it's the song I was talking about is Sarah Smile. just to
Gotcha.
clarify.
Okay. Sarah Smile, if you want to go back and listen to that. Yes, Kiempe said, let's do a first take challenge. So we're going to make you guys do a challenge, and the very first take you record, that's going to be on the honor system. That you have to post that one. I like that first take challenge. Um, all right, so Per, so next week again, this is just a pre. Even though we've gotten some really great stuff. This is a pre workshop to our workshop that's going to be next week. ukelikethepros.com/Mike. That pair is going to be on with us. We're going to actually get hands on with that. I mean, we're going to have various things that we're going to be showing you, audio samples. We're going to talk about sound, waveforms, microphones, microphone placement, um, a pickup, using your phone if that's what you're using as well. How to get good sounds. If you're using more than one mic, some of the pitfalls of using two mics, because there are some pitfalls. And I noticed somebody earlier, Greg, said that he uses two mics. There are some disadvantages to that. There's some advantages and disadvantages you got to be careful of when you're using a couple of mics. We'll talk about some of the different DAWs and even some of the mics that are available today that make recording real easy. So the workshop will be next Wednesday, and it's going to be 1 p.m. Pacific time. The 18th, Wednesday, January 18th, Pacific time. That is recorded, so if you are a platinum member or purchase the workshop, you will have access to it after the workshop. Matter of fact, it will just stay in your library at ukelikethepros.com. You get the video as well as the handouts and all that stuff that go along with it. So what Per and I would like to ask you now is, one, we're actually open to a couple questions if you'd like a couple questions. But two, just some of the struggles that you have recording that we can either touch base upon next week at the workshop. And if it gets into a realm out of what we want to discuss next week, we'll plan it for the next future workshops, because we do have several planned workshops on audio, sound production, mixing, plugins, all that stuff, and Per is an absolute expert with that. Okay, good. So go ahead and throw that in the chat, or we'll open it. What do you think, Per? You want a few more items you want to talk about? Or you want to open up the Q&A?
Yeah, let's do some questions.
All right.
I actually do have, if you want me to share the screen, I have Logic up if you want to just show it.
Yes, please do. Yes, I don't want you to do that.
I don't know can you see it?
I can see it. Yep. So explain what this is, Per, what we're looking at.
Okay, so we're looking at the recording window in Logic. So this is just one track. I put together, Terry asked me yesterday to put together some stuff I've done, so I put this together here. So this is what we're looking at is waveforms from stereo files. So these are done tracks. These are produced, mixed, and ready to go. But so we can make this bigger. And actually, once you learn to read a waveform, you can actually become like a forensics expert on waveforms, because they tell you a lot of things. So that's what we're looking at here. And make this a little smaller. That's just one track. We're looking at over here. We're looking at actually, I can pull up the mixer. So here's how the mixer looks. So here's how we can set the levels. Up here, we can insert say we want to insert an EQ. We can do that like this here. This is an equalizer, which can help us with different frequencies if we want to add something, or if we want to take something away. Say we have a resonance that we don't like, that can be taken out. And it's just there's a lot. This is a good, if you're an Apple user, it's somewhat advanced program, but it's very good. It's like the big brother of GarageBand. Logic Pro X, as it's called, it has been around for a long time. And in the beginning, I was actually fearful of it, because I've heard so many guys saying that it's got like a long learning curve. And I'm still on it. I've been using it for, but this is what we use for ULTP when we make background tracks, when we mix Terry's videos. This is the program we use for that. So it's a good program. I can roll this if I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, before you roll it here, real quick, Bear. So this is Logic. People are asking what it is. It's Logic. It's a digital interface that comes with or is available for Macs. You can also do it on your iPhones. There's other ones out there as well. It's not the only one out there. But Bear, going back a second, you had said something about stereo. Uh, so what would be a mono? What would be a mono track? Because that if some of you would see some of those old Beatles albums, and they were recorded in mono, or they were released as mono versus stereo. So what is mono?
Well, what we see here is we if we look at this, we see a line here. That is basically where we see two identical waveforms, one above this line and one below the line. That tells us we're in stereo. And if I can probably get it down to one here. If it's, I won't go down, it won't go small enough. But if we only saw one of these, that would be mono. So mono is just one channel, stereo is two channels.
And what is the benefit of a stereo channel?
Well, here's an interesting fact about when we're talking about music recording, and I'll bring up the Beatles again, because those engineers in those days, mainly the main medium was mono, because that's what was mainly music was played back on. So what they did was that everything was recorded in mono, which means everything is bunched up in the middle. But it's also harder to mix in mono, because imagine you're going to paint a picture. If you have a wide space, you can spread out all the colors. You can put blue over here, green over here, and so on and so forth. But if you get this wide of an area, you have a lot less to work with, and you're going to have to get that blue not to get smudged by the green and the red and so forth. So that's the same thing that we're dealing with in recording, but we're dealing with frequencies. So if say that we have an acoustic guitar and we have a bass guitar, at some frequency range, those two are going to meet. They're going to play, they're going to sing, if we call it singing, they're going to play in the same range. So we're going to end up with a clash. And there's not room for all that information. So in mono, you're going to have to start sifting out some of that to get clarity. In a stereo field, you basically have to do the same thing, but you can spread stuff out more. It's like you have a bigger room to work in. If you have an elevator-sized room and you have 12 people, it's going to be pretty cramped. If you have a living room and you have 12 people, hey, we got some room. That's a big, big difference. But
Yeah,
mono is good.
and you can hear it too in headphones, right? If you were in headphones versus a mono track versus a stereo track, you could hear it, as Per was saying, you have space to put stuff, and so you might hear a little bit more of the guitar, or the organ, and one side or the other. So yeah, it just opens up the whole range. So um
Well,
before you
another
play
thing
that,
that, like, sorry, but another thing that bands like Pink Floyd and early bands started using, that is commonly used in these days, is that stuff can travel from one speaker to the other side. So you can actually make some fun effects, like something goes over, like it moves, which in mono you cannot do that because you're stuck in one place.
right? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. um Okay, good. And there's some great questions about recording two mics on two separate tracks in a single take. Yes, you can record. I mean, Pro Tools and Logic, they're limitless tracks. So as long as you had enough inputs, you could record as many microphones at one time as you wanted to. Uh, and again, that gets into processing power. But yeah, you could record two microphones, three microphones, four microphones. When I would record a lot of stuff with like band stuff, you're using 8 or 16 or 32 different microphones at one time if you're recording the drums together, the bass, the guitar, if you're adding all this stuff together. So yeah, you can record as many mics as you want. Again, this is Logic. Per, go ahead and go ahead and play a little bit of this so people can hear. This is kind of like a sample track of some of the stuff Per's worked on.
I'm feeling gone, racing through the way I feel, going through atmosphere. Gotta see more than my mama saw. If I see or agree, what does it mean? Is it come on, baby, yeah, let's do this. Give me the wings of a strong-willed bird so I can fly high. I don't know how we got here. Leading me on the street machine, 40-odd clip full magazine.
Very small sampler, but it's different styles.
Perfect. Perfect. So what would you say? Go back to the plugins real quick, and we're going to wrap this up because this is not the workshop. This is just, but I want to just go back to the master stereo, the stereo thing, and show them some of the plugins. So what plugins, Per, would you say maybe the top 3 plugins that you use when you're mixing?
Well, the top one is always an equalizer. Because this is where, even though we don't want to rely on equalizers, we want to get the best, when we record stuff, we want to get the best source sound that we can. Meaning that you can put the microphone anywhere, like just haphazardly put it like somewhere, say we put it in front of our uke. I'm just going to put it here and I'll fix it later. That's not the way you want to go. You want to actually spend time on when you place them, if you're placing a microphone in front of your instrument, take time and move it around a little bit and see where, because one trick that engineers use is that if you're recording a uke, you will plug one of your ears and you will listen with one ear and it will move around just like, because a microphone, that's how it operates. So you use one ear and you listen to where does the instrument sound the best. Now you place the microphone right there, and from there you adjust it, and hopefully there you get the best sound. This kind of thing should come. This should not be part of the recording process if we can avoid it. But afterwards, when we put everything together, we're going to have to use this, as I spoke about earlier. A lot of instruments are going to join up in some register, and they both can't live in the same register because we're going to end up with just mud. So that's where you're going to want to use these kind of things. Either you're going to want to add to it, or as I prefer to do a lot, is rather to cut. Because what happens if you do this? Does anybody know what happens when you do this? You're adding. What happens is that when you're adding EQ, you're adding a frequency, but basically what you're doing is you're adding volume at that frequency. So what you're doing is that when we're recording, we're what's called headroom. We only have so much space, and then we run out of space. So by doing this, you're adding on volume to one instrument, which means for it to sit, you're going to have to pull it back down. So this other technique is better. You find stuff you don't want and you pull it out, and that leaves you with that headroom that you're going to need to get a clean recording. So that's one of them. The second one is the compression. Dynamics here. So this is just one how they look in Logic. Logic offers you so many different types. This is pretty much all the types of compression that are out there, how they react, how they work, and all that kind of stuff. But this would be the second one. And the compression basically helps you with the dynamics, because when we play, there are going to be dynamics. Nobody plays like in a straight line. But when you go to mix, you want to control those dynamics. And one is do it by, the best way to do it is by automating the whole thing. You just actually go in and make volume rides, but this can help you. And a lot of these have certain sounds to them too that can color the sounds in a way that you like. Those are the two most common ones. After that, you're going into chorusing, flanging. There's a plethora of stuff out there these days.
Right. Yeah. Go. And go ahead and stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
And reverb and delay and
Yeah.
Now, someone asked if you record with EQ and or someone has mentioned compression. It's a yes and a no answer. You don't want to squash the signal too much with compression going in, because then you can't do anything with it later. But at the same time, sometimes a little compression on when you're recording is okay as well. So there's not a yes or no, but typically I would say no unless you no compression, because compression can really squish a file and it can lose some of its liveliness if you record it that way. All right, so good. Let's again, we're going to get into this stuff more next week on we're recording workshop, ukelikethepros.com/Mike. We got a lot more examples. We just kind of were all over the place a little bit. I just want to give you can already tell Per is just a wealth of knowledge with recording. Matter of fact, years and years ago, he helped me. I had to do a presentation on mixing and using compressors and stuff, and when we spent hours and hours and hours talking about it, and he helped me out with that tremendously. So he's a wealth of knowledge. Let's open up to a few questions. I know it's our past 10, which is where we usually stop, but hopefully you're interested. Hopefully you have some interest in what we're talking about here to get better. I've learned a lot already, even the whole part with the EQ, something you forget about sometimes. We all want to add, I want to add more bass, or I want to add more treble, but really it's taking away some stuff. Hopefully you're excited about the workshop next week. You're going to learn a lot. I promise you that. Per's going to teach you things that you don't know, that you may have experience with recording and getting decent sound, but we can always learn to do a lot better. What I like, someone had asked a question, and we'll get to it. Someone had asked what is a good mic to go into the computer. I just have these, and I started carrying these, which are these Shure mics, which are plug into the computer, USB and or the Apple one, the C one. But anyway, this is what I use for my recording. I used to use this right here. This one actually just died on me, so I don't know what happened. But the blue, these work okay. These are also USB, but I think I like the Shure one a lot better. This is the MV7 podcast mic, and they're not very expensive, and they easy plug and play, and they're really good. All right, so let's open it up to some questions. Would be great, or just thoughts on this. We'll do one at a time for now, and we do appreciate you guys taking your time today on our session here, and hopefully you are looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to it because I'm already learning. I have a whole page of notes here that I took that I already learned and to help me remember. Any questions or thoughts? If you just want to kind of thoughts here as we kind of wrap this up. Again, Platinum members, you have access to this workshop. You'll get all the information. It will be a Zoom call. It won't be a YouTube. It won't be streaming on YouTube. It'll just be a private Zoom call. And then if you want to purchase the workshop, that is lifetime access if you can make it live, which is best, but if not, it will be recorded and you'll have access to it. ukelikethepros.com/Mike. So, all right, any questions or thoughts? Anyone want to jump in here before we wrap it up here? you can virtually raise your hand or just or if not. Okay. Good. I'm just reading some of the chat. Yeah, USB mics. Even though they're not really USB now when that you do them with the Apple stuff, because Apple's not USB, it's something else. So, uh, we're not covering. Someone asked if we were covering GarageBand. Not in this workshop. This is not a how to use GarageBand or how to use Logic workshop. We're really working on getting good sound. How do you get a good sound? If you have a microphone, there's more than even plug and play. Where do you place that microphone? Various things. So we're really going to focus on audio this first one and getting good sounds, recording. Later workshops we can do stuff on. I mean, you could do a whole workshop on EQ or compression because it's a complicated thing. It looks easy, but it's a very complicated thing. It takes a lot of time, experience, understanding the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts of EQ and compression. But those will be later workshops that we'll be covering them. Can Shure mics? Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't know of these mics that plug into iPhones because iPhones only have the this adapter here. These mics don't not go into the iPhone. Yeah, so that is a good question. I don't believe so that this one will.
You can Bluetooth some of them, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Some of them can. Yeah. Okay. And some of you have mics that don't know how to use it. Yeah. Yeah. And iPhones have always been tricky to get stuff into them because Apple's so they control the product so much. So those are a little bit harder to do then. Yeah, they do sell little doodad. I've had little microphones that clip into these. I haven't had tons of success with them, but there are some of them out there. Okay, recording the separate tracks. Yeah, we'll be talking about that. Recording the separate tracks. Yes. Okay. Okay. Mixing different instruments in a single track. Okay, so that's not really possible, is it, Per?
What is that, mixing?
Mixing different instruments in a single track.
I'd like to answer that, but I'm not quite sure what we're
I don't know
talking
if you
about.
mean Per or Chuck, if you mean taking two tracks and put them into a single track, or if you mean one track that has a guitar and a voice, and how do you mix the guitar and voice if it's stuck on one track? Because that's not really possible. You can EQ it a little bit. So if you record it with one mic and it's a guitar or ukulele and singing,
Okay.
then you really don't have a lot of options, right, Per, to separate those two.
No, you don't. But this is where the mic placement comes in. If you know how, I mean, if you can get it right, where you say that you're recording your voice and your uke, if you get the balance right, then you're fine. But if you say you get too much uke or too much voice and you record it, then of course you're stuck with it. So there's if you can get it right, then there are a lot of big records made that way where guys like they record and sing at once. And but yeah, if you can get it right, it's a good way of doing it.
As far as yes, Chuck, as far as taking two tracks that you recorded separately, a ukulele and a guitar, and mixing that together to make it sound good, yeah, that's no problem. And that's where the stereo comes in. You can find its own place so you can hear both clearly. You can EQ them. You can add a little compression to them to make them all really pop out. So that's totally possible. Exactly. Okay. Good stuff. So anyway, Per, I appreciate you being here on this. Thank you so much. We'll talk more and we'll hone in a little bit of some great comments here, some great things. I know that you guys want to talk about it as well. So thank you for those being here. Per, we'll talk later, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Let me go ahead and stop the YouTube here in a second, and everybody here on the Zoom, hang out for a second. But anyway, everybody here on the YouTube stream, thanks for being here. The workshop is next week, ukelikethepros.com. /sound. Sorry, sound. That's right. Okay, thank you. ukelikethepros.com/sound. I think I said mic earlier, but ukelikethepros.com/sound. Sign up for that workshop. It's going to be great. We're going to get in depth. You can already see that Per is a wealth of knowledge and going to help you get better sounds, whether you're recording a video or just recording some audio, a ukulele, guitar, singing a little bit as well. So appreciate you being here. Thanks for all the support here on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week on the recording workshop, ukelikethepros.com/sound.